Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks, a tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about our top 10 hidden movement games. And when we're talking about hidden movement games, we mean any games where you'll be moving something that is hidden in it. So remember, if you're new in, then please consider subscribing to this channel, leave a comment in that section down there, hit the bell thing for notifications and all that shit. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So number 10 on this list is a game that you lot are going to claim ain't a hidden movement game. That is completely utter bullshit. It's Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack is a two-player deduction game, but we like to think of it as a hidden movement game because you are actually moving Mr. Jack around the board who is hidden. So it's a hidden movement game, isn't it? If you don't like it, fuck off. So in Mr. Jack, there's going to be 8 different characters. You got Sherlock Holmes, you got Mr. Watson, you got the old Bill, and each one of these characters has got a special ability that will allow them to do something. And we're going to be doing, one player is going to be playing the role of Jack the Ripper, the other player is going to be assuming the role of an investigator, and the investigator's role is to find out which one of the characters is Jack the Ripper. Only Jack the Ripper knows who Jack the Ripper is. And the investigator will be trying to deduce who Jack the Ripper is by moving the characters around the board, trying to get them to end their movement in an illuminated area. Each character has a special ability that is sometimes mandatory, sometimes optional. You might be able to use the sewers to pop up in a different place. You might be able to go around and relight some of the gas lamps that have run out. Mr. Jack is a wonderful, wonderful two-player hidden movement game. Yeah, it is a hidden movement game, honestly. And we've only just really discovered this one. Had we discovered this one before, this definitely would have made our top 100. It is one of the best two-player games and one of the best hidden movement games that you can play today. So you better get it, ain't you? So number 9 on this list is a game that probably started the genre, or at least brought it to mainstream attention. It's the Spiel des Jahres winning Scotland Yard from 1982. In this game, one player is going to be taking the role of Mr. X, and the other players are going to be coppers trying to bust the drug-dealing villain. Probably wasn't actually a drug dealer, but you know what I mean. This is done by Mr. X using public transport like taxis, buses, and skidoos. No, not skidoos. And Mr. X will be marking down on a piece of paper where he has been. The only clues the old Bill are going to get is which type of transport he has used, and there's going to be different clues on the board telling you which transport you can use to move from place to place. Right, Scotland Yard changed the gaming landscape for me. It's a very simple game. A lot of people slag off a little bit, you know, saying it's like a kid's game, but that doesn't matter. If you want a hidden movement game with all the bells and whistles removed that strips back the genre to its bare bones, then Scotland Yard is probably one of the easiest games and the most accessible games to get into, right? So yeah, no excuses, is there, bleeding cretins? So number 8 on this list is a game based on J.R.R. Tolkien's magnum opus. It's War of the Ring. Whilst we're not really a massive fan of this game per se, it does illustrate some novel mechanics in terms of hidden movement, because the player that's in control of the Fellowship will be moving the ring around the board, and the evil player will only know where the ring is within a certain number of spaces, right? This game has the added benefit of tagging on some quite ingenious war game mechanics, and it's probably maybe the best implementation of the grand scale of the war in Lord of the Rings, right? It's quite expensive. If you're looking to play this solely for the hidden movement aspect, it's probably not worth the money, but it is a classic game and it is worth at least playing once in your godforsaken life. All right. So number 7 on this list of our top 10 hidden movement games is a game by Matagot. It's Treasure Island. In this game, one player is going to be taking on the role of Long John Silver, who is being held prisoner by the other bastard players, right? They're going to be going out onto the board trying to find out where Long John Silver has hidden his treasure, and they're going to try and nick it. This is done by using all sorts of different apparatus like compasses. You're going to be drawing on the board with magic markers, right? And you're gradually going to be honing in onto where Long John Silver has buried his treasure. So it's sort of like a race against time in a sense. This game is lavishly produced. It's a wonderful production, which isn't surprising seeing as it's a Matagot release. They have a good track record for releasing games with good quality components. But having said that, this game does sort of like drag its heels a little bit. It's like wading through water on occasion. And like with a lot of hidden movement games, the fact that you don't actually know where the fuck these people are can be a little bit frustrating, and this one more so than others. But it's still an interesting game, just not an absolutely fantastic game, right? Number 6 on this list is a game based on a Steven Spielberg movie from 1975. It's Jaws. This game is split into 2 parts. You've got the part where players are trying to locate and weaken the shark, played by one of the other players. And what you do after the first act of the film, you'll flip the board over and then you'll go out onto the orca and you will then try and kill the shark, and the shark will try and smash up the boat. Strictly speaking, it's only the first act of this game that has hidden movement, because the shark will be moving around and then popping up and trying to eat as many swimmers as it possibly can. This is a highly thematic game. It's a load of fun and it's cheap as chips as well. So if you haven't played Jaws, go out and buy it, watch a movie and relive them moments when you shit yourself as a kid. Number 5 on this list is 2 games. It's Spectre Ops and Spectre Ops Broken Covenant. This is a similar game to Scotland Yard in the sense that you're going to have one player running around the map where you don't know where they are, and all the other players are going to be trying to catch them. The standout thing about Spectre Ops is you can have these cards that give you special abilities and special equipment that are going to mess with the game, something that you don't have in Scotland Yard. This game does feel a little bit empty. The map does feel a little bit too big, and the components in the box do feel a little bit sparse, right? Having said that, Spectre Ops is a step up from Scotland Yard. So if you want a little bit more meat on your bones, Spectre Ops is still quite accessible, but it does bolt on some extra bits and bobbins that make the game that little bit more lavish, right? So number 4, is it 4? Yeah, number 4 on this list is a game that was first released in the 70s. I remember it well. But it's been recently re-released by Rob Daviau and his Restoration Games publishing house. Whereas before, Stop Thief was purely an analog experience, Daviau has opted to utilise an app-driven system in this. The player that's on the run will be using the app to give players clues as to where they are, and it works really, really well. There's loads of different scenarios in this one, and it could really do with a bit of an expansion, you know, extra cards and all that sort of thing. But Stop Thief does do a really good job of amalgamating the digital with the analog, and that's something that should be applauded, right? So number 3 on this list is a game that doesn't actually have a board. You're going to be using these sort of ring binder book things. It's Escape from the Aliens of Outer Space. And aside from having a really annoying drawn out title, this game is actually really, really good. You're going to be split into 2 teams. One team is going to be trying to hunt down the other team, and you'll be marking off where you have gone in your little books. As the human players are going to be moving around the map trying to find escape pods, are going to be moving into different sectors, like dangerous sectors, in which case you'll draw a card. You're going to be drawing noise cards in a specific sector. You might be drawing noise cards that make noise in all sectors, or you might be drawing silence cards. The alien players on their turn will be moving around. They'll be trying to attack different sectors, and to counter this, the players will be trying to collect different items that will aid them in their quest to escape the nasty bastard aliens, right? Escape from the Aliens from Outer Space is the epitome of novel. It does away with the old board, and most of the action, I suppose, takes place in your own head. It utilises that same sort of feel as D&D, where your imagination is going to overtake what's on the table in front of you. It's a wonderful game. Plays up to 8 bloody players, so there's no excuses, is there? Just grab 8 people into a room and play Escape from the Aliens from Outer Space and stop your friends and family from escaping in an escape pod. Right. It's number 2 on this list. Most of you thought this was going to be number 1, didn't you? It's Fury of Dracula. This is another game. It has to be based on Scotland Yard, doesn't it? It utilises the same sort of thing. Dracula is going to be moving around the map trying to evade the investigators, and he's going to be leaving clues as to where he's been, right? Yeah. The thing that makes this different is that Dracula is going to be able to fight back. He's going to be able to kick and punch his way out of that Victorian paper bag. He's going to be able to drop layers onto the side of the board, and there's a unique timing mechanism that as these cards drop off the board, nasty shit happens. This game was first produced by Games Workshop in the 80s. I did have a copy of that way back when, and that's the edition that I'm most fond of. We do have the third edition, and its production value is off the charts. Not a game for everybody. It can be a little bit frustrating. It suffers from that thing where if Dracula makes a mistake, it's absolutely impossible to unpick. But having said that, Vera Dracula is probably most people's favourite hidden movement game, and it's one that you should play today. So number one on this list is a game that you really should only play with 8 players, or 6 if you are pushing it a little bit. Yeah, it's Captain Sonar. This sees you take on the roles of a crew in a submarine. You'll be submersing into the murky depths, trying to find out the location of the opposing team, which will later blow the living shit out of them. You're going to have these screens in the middle of the table that are going to stop you from seeing what the other players are doing, and this does borrow a little bit from games like Space Cadets, where everybody is going to be assigned a post and a specific responsibility in the game. You're going to have one person who is a captain who's going to be deciding where the submarine is going to be moving to. One person is going to be in charge of weapons, one person is going to be the engineer, and one person is going to be the dog's body who nobody ever wants to be. And usually most people combine that role with another one, but whatever. Captain Sonar is a thrill ride that is unmatched. This is without doubt the best hidden movement game that has ever been created. It's got a couple of expansions that provide you with extra maps, and there are some mini expansions which you can pick up, which give you maps based on like New York and that sort of stuff, right? If I could rank this game any higher in terms of hidden movement games, then I would. It would be -1, maybe -10 on this list, in a sort of old school D&D armor class type way. Millennials don't understand what I'm talking about, and pre-millennials are still thinking in terms of FACO. What the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, Captain Sonar, number 1 on this list. That is it. That's another top 10 done and dusted. Subscribe if you like this video. If you want to be notified about all our other bullshit videos, then hit the bell and all that, and I will bug you when I upload a new one. But that's it. We'll see you later. All right.